I don't know. What are your thoughts on accountability for men? Right. And it's like, sometimes you think it's like, oh no, that's your family. You do you. And then there's some aspect to that, but I've feel like I've thrived under accountability, even if I didn't want to be a part of it. For instance,
Hmm.
like soccer, like I wanted to be on the team. I didn't necessarily want the coach to tell me all the things I'm doing wrong and like to, change,
Yeah.
but I actually thrived under the accountability, you know.
Yeah. I mean, all account, I say this with education and accountability. All education is self-education. All accountability is self-accountability at the end of the day, right? Um, somebody else can give you something, but you ultimately have to accept it. I can say, hey, Jeff, man, I'm giving you this pen right here. This is yours. But if you're like, dude, I don't want it, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it from you. Oh, I can't go tell everybody I gave Jeff a pen. I can say I tried, but Jeff didn't take it. Right? Education and accountability, those are all the same sort of thing. So I think we do need that accountability side of it. I think everybody can use that. The question is, where do you respond to it so that it becomes as internal as it possibly can, right? And I think so for a lot of us, it is a tribe, it is a team, right? And so
Mm.
sports are great for that. It's a microcosm of life in so many ways. And that's one of those is like, okay, I'm responsible not just for myself, but I'm responsible for my team too. So, each man should take a look at himself and go, okay, um, who's my team? Who's my tribe? Who do I, is it the people in the church? Is it, do I get all the accountability I need from God and I have my relationship right there dialed in to where that's my accountability and I'm solid? Or do I need some other brothers around me that are also going through this and some other guys that are my team? Where do I get that accountability? And I don't think it's bad to layer multiple levels of that in there. Our guys in our dad's program, like they examine, how am I accountable to God himself? Like, what does that look like? How am I accountable? How do I act that out? How am I accountable to my family? And I've got a tribe of brothers around here. I've got an entire group, like we've got our entire class that holds this standard of accountability with leadership involved too. But we also have these smaller units, and we're tracking, the actions to make sure that our actions are lining up with what we say, we want to be and who we want to be. So the accountability matters. And I think it's up to each man to make sure that he has enough levels in there that, he's doing what he says he's going to do.
That's awesome. I think there's a lot of motivation to kind of built in. That's like if you looked at me as a man and actually saw all the like like I don't want to show anyone that, like, for that
Yeah,
where places I'm failing is what I mean, like, or the things I'm embarrassed about.
for
Um,
sure.
and if someone
We
peered
all
into that, and if I knew you were going to look into that next week, I'd be like, I'm cleaning
step.
that up this week.
Now I'm going to clean that up. That's exactly it, man. And that's the whole point, right? As we talk about, all these different pillars and am I aligned with what I'm saying? And, some of our guys are going through are in the spiritual month right now where they're taking a look at that going, I've always said this about God. I say the word relationship, but I don't actually listen to him. I just talk at him when I think I need something, but I don't actually listen. I only believe this because I grew up being told I was supposed to believe it. I've never actually gone into looking at it myself, right? Like, let's dive deeper. Okay, so what does that look like there? What does it look like to actually love and take care of my wife? What are the daily habits? Like, what are the actions behind that? So that I'm not just saying it. What are the actions, right? We take a look at it. We're putting a spotlight on every single facet of the man's life because the reality is all of us are better at some areas than we are at others, but we should really be pursuing perfection in every single one. That's what we're here for. Perfection is not possible. It is not possible in any area. But if we just acknowledge that and then stop and just use that as an excuse not to get better, then we're fooling ourselves. The pursuit of perfection is absolutely possible. And that's the standard that we should keep, right? Our standard for ourselves in all these areas of faith and fitness and family and finances and all of those areas, right? That you got on your shirt right there, right? Our standard right there is perfection for every one of them.
Yeah.
That's our standard.
Yep.
Period. Will we ever hit it? No. Do we ever stop climbing towards it? Abso-freaking-lutely not. And that's why we named it apogee, right? Apogee means you are getting to the top of the, you're ascending to the top of the mountain, right? You're not at the peak, but you're at the apogee. You're ascending, because that's forever the game that we are here on. Until we're 6 feet under, we should be ascending in every one of those levels, every one of those areas.
So good. I've honestly, I've been wrestling with this perfection thing, like, because I think there's an aspect that, like, some men, or let's say fathers,
Yeah.
like, there's this piece where you're just like, God, I'm not as good as that guy. I'm not this. I'm not that. And um, there's a piece that mentally you need to know. And I try to say it like this: perfection. You are perfect. You are the perfect man for that job, positionally,
Mhm.
to
Yep.
love your wife and to love
Yep.
those kids. And
Yep.
so positionally, there's perfection. You already have it, because that's where you're at. Now, I like that you guys are, I like the apogee piece.
That's it.
That
And
helps me make sense of this, but it's, you're still on the climb. And so,
always.
um, don't ever get depressed, because I think some guys get into a place where it's like, dude, and it's like all just this downward spiral. As soon as you get into some fighting with your wife and depression, and then you're in the mix of kids and emotions, and then
Yep.
parenting gets sucky because you just don't got the right skills, and
Mhm.
you don't have help, and then people are walking away from this um, beautiful thing that they built just during a storm. And maybe it's a long storm, maybe it's like a year or two storm,
Sure.
and you're isolated, but you're still the perfect guy for that. Like, even though you're in the storm and it looks like a mess, like, that can be fixed. So don't walk away from it. Like,
Right. Bingo.
um, get the apogee. You're on the climb. Don't go back down the mountain. You have to keep moving forward. And so, um,
That's it. And get a tribe around you, man, and get some people that are helping pull you
yeah,
up. We tell these guys, every one of these mountains, they're, some of these guys are, I mean, we have guys in our, in our brotherhood that are ridiculously out of shape. And we've got we have literal Olympic athletes. We have guys who are really struggling to pay the bills each month and to pay the membership. And we got guys who are, worth multiple millions of dollars. We've got everybody in between. So everybody's, you look at all of those different mountains, you're at a different spot on that mountain, right? And in one
mm,
mountain, I may be way ahead of you, but in the other mountain, you're way ahead of me. And either
mm,
way, we're climbing up, and your job is to keep climbing. Your job is to reach your hand up so that those who are ahead of you, you're following their footsteps. You're looking at their patterns. You're allowing them to speak into you on, no, here's where you step next, and here's where you step next. And you're like, okay, here I go. But at the same time, you also have a hand backwards, and you're pulling somebody else up behind you who's not quite where you are yet, right? You're
I like
pouring into
that.
somebody else, and you're going up that mountain. And you might have only a few people ahead of you because you're really good at this mountain. You only have a few people ahead of you, and you got a ton back here. Well, cool. Then your job is to still listen to the few and to help the many. Or you might be on the mountain where you're part of the many because you're just not there yet. And you need to listen to all those people who are ahead of you there. You need to figure that out, pull up who you can until you get up to the top of the mountain where you've got a whole lot more that you're pouring into than being poured into from, right? It's that's the journey, always and forever.
I love that. I've climbed some mountains in my past, and dude, it's
Yeah.
sometimes it's a grind, and you're just
Yeah.
in it, and your legs are burning, like, but you're getting close to that. You want that view, right? Like, you get up there and you just take the pack off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think families like that sometimes, or in life, like, there is plateaus of, like, there's some like enjoyment there, but you're
Sure.
not done. Right.
Sure.
So I like the fact that you guys are saying, no, there's multiple mountains. Like, this is just the one right now.
This is just the one right now, man. That's it. And
That's
you might
so,
switch, yeah, and you might switch
I'm
mountain to
liking
mountain
that.
past that. You might have, 5 or 6 that you're climbing on any given day.